One winner today, and it could be you tomorrow, and it just might be $16,000 as we continue Twilight's Last Gleaming. Tomorrow, I hope you meet me right back here at the movies.
Good evening, I'm Karen Harch.
And I'm Nolan Johannes. Tonight in the news.
Some local officials ask a lot of questions but only get a few answers on giardiasis. I'm Mark Davis, and I'll have the story in just a moment.
Dan Fiorucci, I'll tell you about another school with asbestos problems.
The mine fire burns, but few questions on how to get out of Centralia. I'm Craig Stevens.
Plus Tom Clark's forecast and Joe Zone with a special sports question.
All next on Newswatch 16.
WNEP salutes cyclists Rich Meeker and Dave Lettieri.
In your car, listen to Newswatch 16 on WKRZ AM 1340.
Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, pilot Jack Rulin in Skycam 16, Chief Meteorologist Tom Clark, and Joe Zone on sports. This is Newswatch 16.
Good evening. There are now 123 confirmed cases of giardiasis in Lackawanna and Luzerne counties.
And there was a closed-door meeting about the health problem today in Wilkes-Barre. Newswatch 16's Mark Davis is live now in our Wilkes-Barre newsroom. Mark, what happened at the meeting?
Well, Nolan and Karen, the 90-minute session was supposed to be basically for information for public government officials, but it ended with a little bit of new information on the giardiasis problem and a call for more action by the State Health Department and Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company. About 50 officials from the various towns affected by the giardiasis boil water advisory attended this meeting, which the Department of Environmental Resources called a work session, and then closed it to all members of the media. As a few of the local officials left, a few said they got some answers, but no real solutions to ease the problem. One thing the local people were told is that the boil water advisory could last at least 18 months.
That comes out of the Bradford incident that is still going on, and the boil advisory is still in place, and it's 18 months old. So it has to be reasonable to expect that we could experience the same thing.
With that prospect in mind and the way the problem has been handled so far, State Representative Frank Serafini, who represents people in the Old Forge Music area of Lackawanna County, called for some immediate state action.
Get the health department to allow free treatment and free medical examinations, and also have the Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company immediately try to relieve those areas which are accessible nearby to clean water. Perhaps the water pressure might be lower in some of those areas, but the help to those communities affected would be extremely great.
Now, Representative Serafini tells me tonight that a meeting of state legislators from the affected areas to talk about those suggestions could come as early as tomorrow. And he wants to get more state involvement into this giardiasis problem. And we should remind you tonight that according to DER, the giardiasis problem was not caused by the beavers. They just multiplied it up at the Springbrook Reservoir area. Now, the cause DER believes now is the raw sewage that was dumped that is dumped continuously into the Springbrook Reservoir area. As one DER official agreed to when I asked him, this is a health problem that was just waiting to happen. It just didn't happen any sooner. I'm Mark Davis, Newswatch 16 with a live report from the Wilkes-Barre newsroom. Nolan, Karen?
Thank you, Mark. If you have questions about the giardiasis water problem, Newswatch 16 is going to give you a chance to ask them. This Friday night, in an hour-long special program starting at 8 o'clock, we will bring in the experts from all the fields here to our studios. They will answer questions that you call in to us live and bring us all up to date on what is being done. That's this Friday night from 8 to 9 p.m., a Newswatch 16 special on the giardiasis water problem. Karen?
Nolan, a much different kind of water problem is solved tonight. Officials of the National Utilities Incorporated in Scranton say the pipes supplying their customers have been thawed and that the water is back on in all of Shikshini and should be on soon in all of Mackinac.
It's an asbestos problem that's plaguing some schools in Northumberland County. Some parents and teachers claim the Milton School District is dragging its feet in dealing with that hazard. Newswatch 16's Dan Fiorucci has been looking into it, and he's here now with us. Dan?
Nolan, Karen, it's not uncommon for school districts to fail to comply with EPA regulations regarding asbestos. It's estimated that right now 50% of the school districts across the country are in violation of federal asbestos laws. This This is the story of a school district in Milton that has violated the law and has a continuing hazard with asbestos. The Milton area senior high school has 800 students. It also has 80,000 square feet of 2 to 6% asbestos insulation throughout the building. Insulation that's in lousy shape. The ceilings throughout the building are water damaged, and furthermore, the material is loosened. It's in a friable condition. According to EPA guidance documents, this is the most dangerous set of circumstances you could have with asbestos. Not only are youngsters exposed to insulation in the hallways, they're also exposed to it in classrooms like this wood shop, where students sometimes bump the asbestos ceiling while gathering lumber.
I went up there one day and I was full of white asbestos and stuff. A couple people went up there and they really get looted.
You have to go up there to get wood and you bump into the asbestos.
Yeah.
Gets all over you?
Yeah, it's hard to get off too.
In other classrooms, youngsters have scratched their names into the insulation or have seen it flake off.
Just like, it's something like, looks a lot like chalk dust.
And it gathered on a piece of paper, a dark piece of paper? Mm-hmm. Well, does that bother you at all?
It scares me.
Throughout the building, asbestos insulation coats the roof, and at times it gets shaken loose. As a matter of fact, if you take a look along the stairwell, you can notice a fine coating of dust. And in that dust is white insulating material. The situation has some parents and teachers deeply worried.
We're just greatly concerned. We feel that the public isn't aware of the dangers involved.
Do you feel that the administration is responding to your concerns adequately?
Well, they seem very concerned at first, and now we're just not sure where they stand. We've been waiting for their response on this.
The fact is, school administrators have been aware of the asbestos hazard since 1980, when state officials notified them of the situation. But even so, the schools made no move to remove the material or even to comply with federal laws requiring notification of parents and teachers. The EPA also mandated that by June of 1983, any buildings that contained asbestos have warning stickers placed in the areas of the buildings that contain asbestos, and there are none here.
No.
Any reason?
No, I don't. No, I did not know that either.
Are you aware that that as well is a violation of federal law?
No.
Now, in fairness to Mr. Hoff, he's not the head of the school district. Dr. James Bauger, the superintendent, told us in a phone conversation today that EPA guidelines have not been complied with because he felt compliance was unnecessary. He said everyone knows about the asbestos. When I informed him that compliance was not optional but was the law, he said he knew that, but he felt it was unnecessary to drag the issue before the public with formal notifications. He said the school district isn't trying to hide anything. Nolan, Karen?
Dan, what happens in Milton now?
Well, right now what's going to happen is on Thursday night there will be a meeting. At that meeting, an architect will present his opinion of the hazard, and this comes 4 years after the school board first learned of it. Nothing can be done, though, until the summer, and in the meantime, the students will continue to be exposed to the asbestos.
Okay, thank you, Dan. There's asbestos in another school in the Milton School District. Here at the White Deer Elementary School, asbestos insulation coats the ceiling. As you can see, it's in bad shape. Hundreds of students go to this school, including kindergarten kids who are about 5 years old. Some scientific studies indicate that 5-year-olds exposed to asbestos fibers are 10 times more likely to develop lung disease than adults exposed to asbestos. The Milton School District says it will have an architect look into the problems here at the White Deer Elementary School. Newswatch 16 continues with the beginning of a trial in a Scranton murder case.
Plus, we'll tell you about the latest in moving people away from a dangerous mine fire. Stay with us.
Hey, Joe.
In Columbia County, the government is taking the first step to move people away from Centralia's underground mine fire. But as Newswatch 16's Craig Stevens reports, not many people are taking advantage of the help.
Everywhere you look in Centralia, there's no evidence anything's changed with the 21-year-old underground mine fire that's plaguing this community. But a new program has started to get at least 371 families here in nearby Burnsville and Germantown out of the area. It's all part of a 4-year, $42 million plan that will buy out homes and pay to move people anywhere they want to go. The Columbia County Redevelopment Authority has opened an office in town to answer questions anybody might have about relocating. Well, the office is in this building right over here across the street, and if you go inside, you might expect it to be busy. You'll find that's not the case. Inside, the office is empty except for the people who work here.
Well, we expected, at least I expected, to have quite a few people here with relocation and maybe even real estate problems. What we're finding is that very few people have come in today at all.
People who want out don't have to show up here, though. The office plans a door-to-door and telephone survey to find out who wants out. Although the Redevelopment Authority's office is empty now, as you can well see, the people who work here are hoping that anyone with any questions will drop by, especially after a public meeting that's going to be held Wednesday night. They're hoping that that meeting might spark a little interest. Craig Stevens, Newswatch 16, Centralia.
Newswatch 16 made a mistake in a story we broadcast New Year's Eve, and we want to set it straight. We said that Heinrich's Bakery in downtown Scranton was closing after almost 50 years in business. Now, that's true, but we showed videotape of the Scranton Bake Shop, which is not Heinrich's, but is nearby. So what we said was right, what we showed was wrong. To make it absolutely clear, the owners of the Scranton Bake Shop, Paul and Nancy Cicucci, are not going out of business. They're looking forward to 1984 at the same address as always. We regret the error. Meteorologist Tom Clark is coming up next. He'll have the forecast.
You know, Tom, I didn't see any sunshine out there today.
I made a mistake, too, last night.
Oh?
Little sunshine this afternoon, but there wasn't. But temperatures did climb above the freezing mark for a change. We'll find out if that's going to happen again tomorrow when we come back.
All of you, not only around holiday time, but the whole year around, slow in the bottle. Enjoy the road.
Well, there's a little relief outside. I think we're having a heat wave almost, right, Tom?
It's almost a heat wave, Nolan. 35 degrees outside now. Still some slush and some snow around, but I think we'll go above the freezing mark again tomorrow. Under mostly cloudy skies, a look at the current readings as they stand now. As I mentioned, in the middle 30s over most of the Channel 16 viewing area now. The humidity is way up high, 80%. The air very damp tonight. The wind southwest to 10, and the barometer is falling at 30.18 inches. The high today was 35. What we have now, the low this morning, 28. Records 59, and look at that, back in 1918, 66 years ago today, 5 below zero. And that there in the background is Leggett's Creek along Route 6 in Lackawanna County, just north of Scranton. Now, when you add the daily high and low temperature together and then divide by 2, you get the average temperature, which about this time of year normally stands at 27. But over the past 14 days, the average temperature has only been 17 in the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area, a whopping 10 degrees below normal. So indeed it has been very cold the last 14 days. The average high temperature has been about 25 degrees the last 2 weeks, and that's a good 9 degrees below normal. So we need more heat in the weather pattern, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's have a look at the Newswatch 16 color satellite photograph. 72 down in Miami this afternoon. That's quite nice. As a matter of fact, temperatures over a good portion of the nation today warmed up to slightly above normal levels. As a matter of fact, up in Duluth, Minnesota, they broke a record high temperature this afternoon of 38 degrees. So it's warming up quite nicely over a good part of the nation. Now see this little thin band here? That's a cold front moving down towards Pennsylvania. It's very weak. It'll get here tomorrow evening with a few showers, but the air behind it is not bitter cold, so temperatures will be trending near or slightly above normal over the next 4 and 5 days. You can see those stubborn clouds over Pennsylvania. I thought the lower atmosphere would warm up a little bit more today, but it didn't, and so the air was too cold to hold all its water vapor, and the clouds persisted. Now let's go to our forecast for tonight. Cloudy skies and damp out there. Humidity is very high. Temperatures bottoming out up on Halstead, Susquehanna County at 27, 29 in Sookworth. How about 29 in Catawissa, 28 in Allentown, and out there in Avis in Clinton County, about 29 the low tonight. Now tomorrow, I think a few peaks of sun, but do count on mostly cloudy skies. It'll be breezy, with that breeze coming up to 15 miles per hour in the afternoon. Temperatures again above freezing, even a few degrees warmer than what they were today, about 38 in Wyoming and 38 down there in Hometown in Schuylkill County. How about Hummer's Wharf? Snyder County. About 40 for your high tomorrow. Now, a lot of people complain about aches and pains when there's high humidity and falling barometric pressures, and that'll be the case tomorrow. And our computerized health watch indicates a low index on the resistance to aches and pains. So sort of take it easy. Tomorrow, cloudy tonight, some showers of rain and snow coming in tomorrow night. Behind that cold front, there could be a small coating, perhaps up to an inch of snow in some of the mountain areas by daybreak on Thursday. Partly sunny on Thursday, cloudy Friday, some sunshine on Saturday, temperatures above the freezing mark during the day the rest of this week. So that's good news.
Good news,
Sure
and
is.
easy on the heating bills.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Joe Zone is coming up next. He'll have the sports.
And tonight, Joe will talk about the college football rankings.
How high will you try? $16,000 can be yours weekdays at 4.
At least one sportscaster in the country predicted the right winner last night. And who can that be, Joe?
I picked Miami. If I quit now, I'll be perfect for 1984. But I am not going to quit
Beginner's
now.
luck.
I am not going to quit now, and so don't call in and ask me to. I'm staying right here. Everyone is asking who's number one. Well, I'll tell you what. Did you see that Orange Bowl game last night? Wasn't it one of the greatest football games you've ever seen? You know who's number one? NBC. They were fortunate enough to tell a 14 at the half. Back came Miami after a Nebraska field goal. Alonzo Highsmith for a touchdown to make it 24-17. And to 30, there is Miami saying we are number one. Who is number one? The first, second, and fourth ranked teams lost. Number 3, Auburn struggled. I think Miami deserves that national title. They were 5th ranked going in. They beat the overwhelming favorite, top-ranked Nebraska. I say Miami. Who do you say? Well, if you'd like to voice your opinion and participate in our informal poll, it's going to cost you 50 cents. But why should the sports writers and coaches get all the fun? If you vote for Miami, dial 900-210-3440. Auburn, 900-210-3444. Nebraska, 900-210-7330. Anybody else? 900-210-7333. The polls will be open until 9 o'clock. I'll have all results at 11 o'clock, and the official AP final poll also will be out at 11 o'clock tonight. Week 4 of the Super 16 high school basketball poll looks pretty much the same at the top, but lots of changes the rest of the way. At 16, the new face in the crowd, Wyoming Valley West. Athens falls from 10 to 15th. Bishop Hoban Argents, they fall from 8th to 14th. A lot of losses this week. Tamaqua also drops from 7th to 13th. Valley View drops from 5th to 12th. 16, 15, and 14 last week move up this week to number 11. Mount Carmel, number 10, Millville, and number 9, Weatherly. Scranton Tech is up from number 11 to number 8. Abington Heights jumps from 12th to 7th. At number 6, Allentown Central Catholic, up from number 9. Undefeated Scranton Prep is our number 5 team, up a notch from last week. The top 4 stay the same. Number 4, Lords Regional. Number 3, Pottsville. Number 2, undefeated Northwest. And number 1, undefeated Williamsport. You know, our frustrated fan this week doesn't like our Super 16 rankings. He writes, Dear Joe Zone, why is it that Northwest is not rated number 1 in the first Super 16 basketball ratings? I feel they should be rated number 1 until they lose to a better team. They were 33-0 last year, as well as state champs. They have the winning streak still intact so far this year. Well, you know what? We think that Northwest is a terrific team. That's why they're ranked 2nd in the area. We think Williamsport is a bit more terrific. That's why they are number 1, and why, incidentally, they are also ranked 3rd in the state. Northwest is not, at the moment, ranked in the state. State basketball history made last night when Maria Fantana Rosa of Mount Carmel set a new state all-time scoring record. Just a junior, Fantana Rosa needed 28 points to pull ahead of Michelle Swantner of St. Clair, who broke the record last Friday night. And then this basket right here gave Fantana Rosa the record. She scored 33 last night for a career total 23-93, and she is just a junior. That's all of it. Give tonight your best shot. And don't forget, vote for the team you think should be number 1 in the country. See you later.
I got all confused. I tried to write those numbers down, but I didn't get them, Joe. You went too fast.
Was it that fast? Well, I'll come back then.
Yeah, you better come back. He will. I'll have the numbers again for you.
Are you just hanging around, wandering with nothing to do? If you can't bear another Saturday night alone, we found something for you. Take a dash of Stansoa and a splash of Joe Zone. Add some shake, rattle, and roll. Blend the Lone Ranger and Orville Wright. Mix in some Bambi and some Snow White. And you get a great family night. Pennsylvania Outdoor Life, Saturdays at 7.
If you'd like to vote on who you think should be the national champ, let's go back to Joe Zone once again with those telephone numbers. I'll write it down this time,
Okay,
Joe.
stay with me on this one.
Okay,
for Miami, 900-210-3440. Auburn, 900-210-3444. Nebraska, 900-210-7330. And anybody else, 210-7333. And Pitt and Penn State fans, you might as well call in too and pick your team.
Okay.
And don't forget, it costs 50 cents.
50
cents will appear on the phone bill the next time you get your bill. And those phone lines will be open until 9 o'clock tonight. And then Joe will have the results of how you're voting, as well as what the officials are saying, right, with the official #1 team at that time. Okay, that is Newswatch 16 for a Tuesday.
Be sure to join us tonight on the update when we'll have the latest on the giardiasis problem.
Also, World News Tonight is coming up next with more on Jesse Jackson and Lieutenant Robert Goodman's release.
For the team, thanks for being with us and enjoy your evening.